Hi, once again, I'm Sidney McKinnon, MD and CIO of Cadiz Asset Management, and welcome once again to where we talk about all things fixed income. Today, I'd like to talk to you about the importance of having fixed income assets or investments within your pension fund or your pension fund savings. I think before we start, let's look at the objective of a pension fund briefly. And the objective of saving for retirement or having a pension fund is so that you have some savings that when the day comes when you retire, that can provide for you adequately during your retirement years. The important thing is that having those retirement savings is one thing, but you need those retirement savings to be adequate enough so that your purchasing power or the ability to buy or spend the way you are doing right now before your retirement can be of the same level than what you are doing right now. So the idea is to be able to save so that your savings grow to a point where you can maintain your standard of living, or at least not drop your standard of living to a level which you're not comfortable with. So that's the general, very generalized objective of having a pension fund. So why have fixed income assets as part of your pension fund? I think, first of all, the fixed income arena, as I've said in previous sessions, is quite a wide landscape of investments. And I think that plays to the advantage of having them or having those assets within your pension fund, whether it be money market assets or fixed deposits or cash in the bank or bonds or inflation-linked bonds. It gives you a wide scope of investments that you can include within your pension fund, with the idea of those funds growing to a point where they can sustain you adequately at your retirement. So your fixed income assets, therefore, does one important thing. It provides an excellent risk diversifier. So it does not mean that the only thing in your pension fund investment should be fixed income assets. It should be a substantial part of it, I do believe, because of the very reason that you will be able to diversify away potential risks that could land up eroding the value of your pension fund assets. So if, for example, you have a pension fund that's built with fixed income assets and equities and property or whatever what case may be, if those assets don't perform, your fixed income assets most likely will perform, and vice versa. So it provides an excellent diversifier in terms of the portfolio that you will be constructing to maintain and preserve your pension fund assets. Now, I think the other good thing about fixed income investments, or important thing about fixed income investments, is that they generally have built within them, inherent within them, some compensation, maybe not fully for all assets, fixed income assets, but for most fixed income assets, there's some compensation against the effects of inflation. So built into those yields and that interest that you earn is an inflation component, which is very handy. Bonds in particular, their yields to maturity, as I've spoken about previously, have built within them inflation expectations. Similarly, inflation-linked bonds, and to a degree, your more liquid assets like your money market assets. So it provides some protection. I'm not saying it provides the entire protection against inflation, but over a lengthy period of time, it most likely will be a form of compensation for the erosive effect that inflation has on your retirement portfolio. What I also like to mention when considering your pension portfolio or your pension investment, and fixed income investments in particular, is the regulation surrounding it. We all know there's this thing called the Pension Fund Act, the Regulation 28. And the nice thing about fixed income assets is that they generally are, not completely, but they generally are compliant with the Act. So if you have fixed income assets within your portfolio, you will be compliant and you would not have to worry much about the regulation because you would be within the regulatory framework as set out by the Pension Fund Act. It makes provision for fixed income assets quite adequately. So an important thing is you would not fall foul of legislation, but you would be within that framework. I think the other thing that I'd like to mention is that fixed income assets are generally considered more defensive than your more volatile assets such as property and equity. And depending at which point you are in your retirement savings life cycle or post-retirement life cycle, you may want to increase or decrease the level of fixed income investments that you have within your portfolio because of their defensive nature. They will eventually get there, but maybe at a slower pace or at a different pace to your more volatile assets, which is quite a good attribute of fixed income investments. The last thing I'd like to touch on is that there are two aspects to retirement savings. The one is before you retire, so you'll be saving towards your retirement, and your fixed income assets can be quite useful in actually building a portfolio to get there. And then there's the point when you actually retire and you have to now start using these assets, but you also want them to grow at a rate which does not erode your purchasing power to a great degree or a degree where it's going to be less beneficial for you. And fixed income assets can actually play a very important role there as well. So just to wrap everything up, I think fixed income assets have a very wide scope for use within a pension fund or within a retirement savings, provides an excellent diversifier, provides you with a mechanism to give you some protection against inflation, and is also generally defensive in nature to help grow your assets to the point where you can preserve your purchasing power. That's all for now, and please tune in once again. And I'd like to thank you all, where we once again will talk next time on all things fixed income.